just waiting a few moments before I truly start off. Sounds good. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, that sounds excellent. Great. Well, with that said, let's hit this off, shall we? So, hello everybody. Welcome to Power Up with Pride. My name is Janglestorm, and I'm very honored to do the first run of this marathon. It's Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, 80% pirate mode, no out of bounds. And, well, yeah, without further ado, I would say just, let's go. Or as they say, and they say, countdown when ready, timer will be started. I also have a timer of my own. So, basically, as they say in Shantae world, ready to go. And I don't know if you're ready, but I sure am, so let's do this in 3, 2, 1, go. So there we go, this is the 80% pirate mode no out of bounds run. And it's also the third game in the series after the original Game Boy Color Shantae and Risky's Revenge, followed by Half Genie Hero. This is the one game where you don't have transformations like in the other game, but you do instead wind up getting pirate equipment. And yeah, in that way it's a sort of Metroidvania type of game. However, this is pirate mode, which is sort of a new game plus, so you wind up getting all of the pirate equipment from the beginning, which allows for some very interesting sequence breaks and some very fast-paced action, as you may already see here. I'm using the boots as one of the pirate things that I have to dash throughout the screen, and we will go fast a lot, believe me, going this way. Let's see, what else could I say about it? Yeah, so this is Scuff Town. Lots of things happening here, and I'm trying to make my way through. And so this is the first item that I used, that I got in the beginning, which is the pike ball. It's some sort of extra protection which damages enemies. The other item that I got is the other potion, which I hope not to use throughout this run, but is very helpful. Just in case I die, my life will get refilled, so yeah, that's certainly a thing. In the meantime, I try to hit all of these guards here for some gems, so maybe I can get a bit of a go-ahead in terms of shopping round that's to come. So here's the first boss, the Ammo Baron. Basically what we wanted to do is not this, which is basically use its tank, but we wanted to shoot cannonballs, and especially these red cannonballs, because I can fire those back and that will allow me to deal damage to the Ammo Baron. And having the pike ball does make for some extra damage, so I will be able to make this 3-cycler pretty easy. Although he's having quite a bit of fun right now, as you can see. Okay, there we go. So, it remains to be seen if this will be a 3-cycler, because he took quite a bit of time to start firing cannonballs again, but we'll see if this is the last hit. Okay, we're still good. Okay, with that taken care of, turns out that the Ammo Baron bought this Scuff Town from the mayor, who is currently residing there. You see him all the way to the left. And basically the mayor sold it for a box of waxy chocolates. So yeah, that's totally how it works, right? In the meantime, also Shantae got put on lockdown until further notice, and she gets these really huge scrolls, almost as big as herself. And well, after all that action, we might just as well want to take a bath. Sounds like a good idea, right? Just a very nice, chill, warm little bath. Except she doesn't own a bathtub, she realizes. And that's kind of problematic, of course. And also, it's not really a usual bathtub, but it's a trap tub more like, as it's set up by none other than Risky Boots, who is the villain in all Shantae games. In this case, though, she has some problems of her own, namely her equipment got stolen. And she accuses Shantae of that, which is sort of true since this is pirate mode after all. But also her henchmen, the so-called Tinker Bats, have been turned into Cackle Bats by means of this dark magic here. So we are now fighting one of these Cackle Bats, and if we do so, we are able to suck up this dark magic using a lamp that we're gonna get right now. However, this will be the only piece of dark magic we will be getting throughout the run. If we do collect all of the dark magic, we can actually get the full ending of this game, but since this is any percent, we're not actually getting there. So we're finally out of the bathtub, into the town. We're gonna head over to Sky and we're gonna borrow her library card. This is one of two things that we need to get out of Scuff Town. The other being that we have to save the game first. For real, for real. Although I will be saving a few more times just for marathon safety, but this is otherwise the other time we will be saving in this game. So we're gonna show the guard our library card, even though it looked nothing like the picture there, but that doesn't matter. We're now in the scarecrow fields and we're hitting these scarecrows for in hopes of getting some very good item drops, like the monster milk, which is a very good drop. We can use that later on. They can also drop food items, they can also drop pike balls, also drop super pike balls, so you name it, it might be there, perhaps. But item RNG is definitely a thing in this game, so yeah, you never know how it's gonna work out, so you have to accommodate that somehow. So now we head into the royal sewers, and the only reason we're here is to defeat these snakes. So we are able to pick up so-called flesh pops, and I have gotten one of these, and I tried to stick them underneath the lower ceiling in order to get duplicate drops, so one snake can drop multiple flesh pops, and we do need a total of 3 for our next goal. Also, this is another sequence break because we're not supposed to have the pistol here. In casual mode this is something we return to later. In the meantime, we drop off the flash pops for Royal Gate Key, which we will be using very soon, but first we're gonna give the brochure that we got to the Squid Baron. So the Squid Baron is normally known to be the mid-boss of every single Shantae game, so it's kind of a running joke. In this case, he's kind of tired of having that role, and he is suffering from what's called post-boss syndrome. And so we send him on a holiday, giving him this brochure, so maybe that will make things better. We'll see. So a few more gems we get here. And we get the summons that we've gotten after the Armor Baron fights. And now we get the first map, which will allow us to sail the seas and explore the rest of the game. Also, what you saw me do there was called the Risky Shuffle. It's quite an interesting move and one I'll be using quite frequently. It doesn't matter in which direction you move as long as you use both directional pads, but if you keep moving for 2 seconds in a row, the game counts every single frame that you move, and if you keep that up for 2 seconds you will charge this dash that you can use then. So that's what I did basically. Oh nice, I got a super pike ball. That's a very good item to have that will certainly help me in later sections of the game. Let's see how many gems I will have. So, normally speaking, I do need at least 120 gems for my first shopping round if you decide to take the traditional approach. That will get me 3 pirate flares, which I will explain later, and usually a super pike ball. I think I will do the same too, because I have no idea if I'm gonna get more super pike ball drops later on. Also for safety really. So let's see, super pike ball, and off we go. So now with Forbidden Map in hand, we are finally able to get out of here and, well, explore the rest of the world. As you can see, some silhouettes there. Yes, monies indeed. So here we are on an island that's been called Saliva Island, and you might scratch your head and think, why is it called Saliva Island? Well, you will find out soon enough, because it has its reasons. For now we will be doing a brief walk up here though. A few shortcuts here and there. Another thing I'm normally speaking not able to do until much later. Past these statues, again, we're not doing anything with that, but we're heading over here where there is this pool, and these girls want to swim in this pool. And problem is the pool is empty, so this is where we come in. So we whip our hair against this ham and we get this ham sting. We go up here, another major sequence break, because normally speaking this takes quite a bit longer to get up here to face this monster called Gigalummox. We give the ham sting, and what I just did there was pause and unpause 3 times because it skips part of the animation that it normally does. So normally speaking the animation is a bit longer where it actually starts blinking its eyes, and this speeds up the things a little bit, so it's basically a free time save. And yay, we finally filled the pool. So now they can go swim. I'm not sure if they have an exact idea of what they're swimming into, but at least I guess they will enjoy the holiday at least. So we get this Petrify spell that will be used very quickly afterwards. Just heading out here. Oh, crap. Controls, please. Because you can see here, this old guy wants to revive his wife, so we give him the Petrify spell, so hopefully that works out. Oh no! He got petrified himself. So they're sort of reunited, but not in a way you'd expect it to be. Sort of a big whoops. Anyway, that grants us access to the Spittle Maze. So first of all, we're heading over here. It's seemingly a secret passage. It leads us to this retro dungeon. Basically it's an homage to the Game Boy Color Shantae, and this is literally the first dungeon from that very game. So what we do here is we wind up getting a couple of keys and also grind for some gems for the next shopping round, since there is going to be quite a bit of that. Also, one thing I hope to show off very soon, and which is as well pre-selected. Oh crap. Spikes are a thing. Gonna hit some more jars, the lower jar too. There we go. So you can't really see it, but I'm selecting things on the menu, and I'm playing on the Wii U version because, well, reasons for it not crashing. And what I just did there was I pre-selected this food item, which allows me to do this animation skip, which overrides the key animation, and the key animation does last longer, so every time you do this and pull this off, you are able to save a couple of seconds of time. So if you're really actively grinding for money so you can get as many potions as possible, which also works, then you are potentially able to save quite a bit of time. So there are some runners who actually do that, which is definitely not a bad thing. Oh crap, I didn't need to send back the cage. There we go. Oh, I mistimed that. That's fine. So since I have the Monster Milk, I can use it here, which is basically effective for increasing your hair whipping or your scimitar wielding damage, so to say. So normally speaking, that takes a bit longer, but not only is it effective against these webmen as sub-boss, but it's also effective against the next boss we're facing, which is the Cyclops plant. It's all one eyes now. Important thing to note is this boss has 2 phases of this, and this is the first phase, so it's really short. Thanks to the pirate equipment. The next phase though requires us to get ourselves up to the ceiling using the cannonballs and then doing scimitar dashes as soon as we're up on the ceiling. So using those pirate equipments, also especially with the Monster Milk, makes for some pretty fast action here and a very fast boss kill. Alright. Let's see, I'm gonna select another food item that I have. Gonna use it again because it also works on items like this. Keys are the major thing, but there are also maps, for instance, and some other items. And here we are. That was the shortcut that I just opened, by the way. And we're going back to the ship. This beautiful ship here. With Spiderweb map in our midst, and now we're going to that very island. This is home to a segment that many speedrunners love or love to hate, called Run Run Ruddy Tops. I won't be saying too much about it because it will last quite a while and I'll have enough time to explain it whilst I'm doing it, but yeah, it's quite a thing. First of all, we're gonna go up in the trees, hope we don't get hit by ghosts, because these, well, yeah, as you can see, these ghosts can appear in a certain way. It's not necessarily too random, it should work out most of the time, but sometimes they can be quite rude, as you can see. Yeah, exactly, love. Love. First off, we pick up this fossil, which may seem very random, but we will be using it later in a side quest. And we head up here. Another section with trees, and again making sure we don't get hit by ghosts. And here we are. This is Ruddy Tops, currently held captive by this spooter. But Shantae comes to the rescue. She's thankful for that, but also she's mentioning that she's probably come down with a sickness, so we have to carry her back home. And thus starts Run Run Ruddy Tops. So Run Run Ruddy Tops is an other-scroller-like segment. Well, not in the true sense of the word, but it has some aspects to it. You know, you have to survive all these obstacles. You can't really speed it up in a major way, except for a few small things. There's insta-deaths and, well, gatekeepers for instance. So let's see if I can make it through here. The thing is to stop at exactly the right time so you fall down without the tongue hitting you. So that can be a bit tricky at times. So let's see if I can do this. Yes. I basically, what I did there was I did a manipulation there that caused the old gatekeeper to let me pass as soon as I got there. So that's pretty fun. So here are the spikes. Okay, I guess now is a good time for donations, if there are any, so let me know if there are any, otherwise
yeah, I got a couple here. So let me pull these up. So, I'll start off with this one. We have $25 from Tina Hacks that says, "Yo, Janglestorm, good luck with Shantae. May the RNG be with you. Donation to Runner's Choice."
Let me think about that. Also, thank you, Tina Hacks.
Oh, I just realized that you have yourself muted in here, so I can't hear you.
Okay, so here we get these tombstones. Also quite tricky because you have no idea when they're gonna react. Sometimes they will start appearing right in front of you, these crabs from underneath the tombstones. So you have to keep your eyes open at all times because you never know when you wind up running into one of those. Also did what they call a stake jump there. As you can tell, the stake hands here don't necessarily have the best hitboxes. This doesn't necessarily save a lot of time either, but it's kind of fun to show off anyway. So here's this room full of kissy robots, who are clearly having a thing for either Shantae or Ruddy Tops, or both, perhaps. This is basically us trying to get away from all of these robots. There we go. These robots were about to meet, but alas. Okay, I'm doing a few jumps here because falling down here is a few frames faster. And this brings us to the end of the first half of Run Run Ruddy Tops. This is not the worst room by any means. So we will be introduced to another interesting creature spitting out very interesting things. So we've had this tournament recently of this very specific category, and one of the runners, Cabbage, came up with the name Stevens for these creatures, and that sounds like an interesting enough name, decent enough, so we've been since calling them Stevens. See the taco jump? Not so sure about that though. Also, this is the final room, also the biggest room. It's a sort of greatest hits package where everything returns one more time. And we have to make sure not to lose our life here, because if you make it really far into this room and you lose your life, then that will set you back quite a bit in terms of time. So, there we go. We'll skip there. Few more jumps, and that's it for run Ruddy Tops, basically. Well, except for this cackle bat that we have to jump over. It, technically speaking, still counts, but it's, after all we've been through, it's not much. And finally we bring her home to her brother Abner. And then turns out she wasn't actually sick, but she was sort of trolling you and clearly in for the fun ride and stuff. But anyway, we now meet Abner's brother Poe, and he has this wagon which needs fixing. Well, thankfully we have the squid oil that fixes things. Main upside is that we don't have to do Ruddy Tops sequence over and over again. We just have this shortcut and that's all. And in return we get the shriveled thing, which smells. Funny thing is we can't skip this text box. Probably the only text box that we can skip, because it's important to note that this shriveled thing smells. Just so you know. We won't be keeping it for long because we're giving it over here, and this grants us access to the next place where we go to, which is Cackle Tower. Which is one of the places where I do hope to get certain item drops, because there will be quite a lot of skeletons which I hope to be able to hit and which I hope to get items from. So yeah, let's see how this works. Okay, that's very nice. That's a super pike ball. That's one of the better drops to have there for sure. Okay, round 2. Come on. Nothing. How about over here? Oh, that's another super pike ball. Well, very nice. I'm basically good in terms of super pike balls. I will probably explain later why, but first I have to fight this bad gal, who also has a good chance of dropping very rare items, like this super pike ball. Aside from that, it can drop super monster milk, or in a very rare occasion it can drop the pirate flare. There are runners who have that pretty frequently. In certain circles it's been called the Nori Flare, referring to JT Norimaki, who usually gets this drop. Also, we're normally supposed to activate a machine so we can activate this gust of wind to bring us up here, but since we have the cannon jumps, we can effectively make our way up there directly. Normally speaking, we use the pirate hat to ride these waves. Okay, I might have room for one more donation if there is any. Just in time for the Emperor Spider. Okay. It's time to use one of our super pike balls because we're facing the Emperor Spider. There it is again. What I'm trying to do with this fight is I try to stay in the hitbox of the Emperor Spider and deal as many hits as possible. Because I do these cannon jumps to reach that same height. If I am able to not get knocked sideways, I'm able to reset the cannon jumps and maintain the same height while still doing damage, which is a very fast way of taking this enemy out. Also, I'm trying to be a bit careful here because I've lost quite a bit of health already. So it's gonna be hopefully a bit safer. Hopefully I'll be able to keep my auto potion, because that's one of the things, that's one thing I can lose for sure, so... There we go. So that took a little bit longer than it would have taken if I was able to do the trick successfully. Quite a lot of the top runners have been able to do this very effectively, and yeah, like I said, it does save quite a bit of time if you're able to do that strat effectively. Yes, the spooter is dead. Very much so.
Oh yeah.
So this is the first time we're using the Pirate Flare, which we have bought in the shop. It's sort of brings us back to the ship directly, so we don't have to do the whole backtracking thing. And that's also, of course, a big time save, depending where you are. Okay, time to leave Spiderweb Island. We're off to Tenline Island, which is quite a bit sunnier, as you can see. Here's a couple of cacti and a couple of other creatures and enemies. So we hope to get possible Monster Milk or Bubble Shield drop. And Monster Milk you may have seen before, obviously, but Bubble Shields, those can be handy if I fight enemies who shoot bullets, because it protects against those bullets. During this run, I kind of hope that I get one of these drops. So here's the Squid Baron again. He is on holiday, but he doesn't seem quite happy about, you know, where he went, and we cheer him up. So in return, we get these X-ray specs. And you wonder, hey, why X-ray specs? Well, again, will be used for a side quest later. First off, we're gonna do some backtracking, which brings us back to Saliva Island. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna grind for some items, so we have at least 155 gems to spend for the next shopping round, and also we'll be getting what's called mummy sketches, and we will be using that to gain access to the Tenline Temple that we just passed on Tenline Island. Oh, I missed a jump. And for that we go up here because this is a very easy grinding location. It's got a couple of jars here that are hidden. And now I should have enough to actually do the next shopping round. First off, we're going over here to grab ourselves this mummy sketch from this casket here. Yes, this game has fantastic music. It's composed by, and all Shantae music is composed by Jake Kaufman, and he's doing a super good job. I can wholeheartedly recommend listening to it. Before we're gonna do our next shopping round, we're gonna pay a visit to Sky once again. He's visited by her fiance Barracuda Joe, and also they're bringing in this casket, so you can see perhaps where this leads. They're reading it, it says don't read, and oh gosh, no, Joe got petrified. So this engagement will have to wait for now. Yeah, Jake Kaufman. Next up is our second shopping round. It's gonna be, again, 3 Pirate Flares, but in addition to that we will be getting a Super Monster Milks. We will need a well, if we really want to do it fast, we will need a couple of Super Monster Milks. Regular Monster Milks will do too, but it's very nice to have those because, you know, if you wind up whipping your hair in fights, then that will save quite a bit of time. So let's see, what will we be getting here? Still no Bubble Shield though. So we're back here, but instead we're going over here because we got the skeletons who can actually drop more Pike Balls than Super Pike Balls. Except we don't really need them right now. Also, let me grab this first. Another round of defeating Skeletals. More Pike Balls. So if I was running short of Super Pike Balls, I would have at least gotten these regular Pike Balls that I could use against next upcoming bosses. Also, Bird Gator Gator, we have the combination. We get the 3 mummy sketches, and this brings us the combination that we can use to get access to the Tenline Temple. So, making our dashing moves over here. Let's see, Bird Gator Gator, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see if we can... Oh, that's nice. Let's see, Gator, and there we go. Open Sesame. So while we go in there, they mistake us for the princess of this temple, and so they're pretty happy to see me return again because they were missing me clearly. And while they're preparing, they are holding me locked up in here, and so I have to escape, which starts up the segment basically called Metal Gear Shantae. It's this stealth-like section where I have to make sure not to get seen by those guards. So I have to be a bit careful. This is not the worst room, but if you want to go for a PB, for instance, and you wind up losing all of it in the last room, then it can lose you up to a minute of time. So it's definitely recommended that you stay undercover as much as possible. Okay, gonna grab this last key. Okay, it might be quiet for a bit. Just make it through here. Okay. The first jump is probably the one that I'm most scared of. And this might be too though. No, that's fine. Because I was in this tournament and my last tournament match, I totally screwed this up. So I got sent back on 2 occasions. So you can tell that lost quite a bit of time. So I'm trying to be somewhat careful there. So now we use those keys to rescue the other princesses that were held captive because, well, apparently this emperor or king or whatever is not very well able to read faces. So it seems like 3 of my friends have been caught here as well. Risky Boots, Sky, just after having the engagement called off, and Roddy Tops, because of course Roddy Tops. Okay, so now that they're all rescued, we get to tell them the truth. First off, we're pulling this rope, which is actually bigger than the door, so good job. But yeah, now he sees all of us and he must be confused, but hey, surprise, here's the real princess. As it turns out, she went out grocery shopping for 30 minutes, so apparently that's a long time, but there you go. In return, we get this golden pickaxe, which we will be using right over here to tear down this wall so we can actually gain progress here. There you go, and they got scared because suddenly, oh my god, enemies! So I'm gonna check here with the menu. So I do have enough super pike balls, however I only have 1 super monster milk and 1 monster milk overall. So I might want to see if I can do a bit of an extra grind here. And you see these scarp gals, those have a pretty good chance of dropping these super items, so let's see what they have in store for me. Oh crap. Okay, that was a bit unlucky, but there are quite a few more chances. As we are about to head off into the catacombs, right over here. And so because of missing certain items or a certain amount of items, I do wind up going over here. Depending on the runner or depending on preference, use... Let me grab this. Ah, missed it again. But yeah, depending on who runs it and what the preferences are, you can choose to get a key here, which is basically giving you another chance of a possible super item drop. It may be perhaps a little bit slower than getting it from the factory later on, although it's not that much. So we got this bubble shield, 2 of them in a row. Those were the items that I mentioned that I really wanted. Those will be useful against the final 2 bosses of this game, which, well, both use bullets. So yeah, that can protect us against them. And I get... Oh, there's another super monster milk, that's good. I can use that. 2, 3, 4. Ah, crap, missed it. What I tried to do there was what they call a one-cycle catacombs crusher. So basically, if I time it well enough, I will be able to get underneath here without having to stop in between. And I do that by counting these butt shakes here. Okay. Selecting some items, and we're gonna face off against Yep, there he is again, the Squid Baron. So he's once more the mid-boss of this game. Oh crap, I got... Ooh, that was close. Okay. Okay, that's the first phase. But Squid Baron hasn't had enough yet because he is totally in his element now as he's transforming into Squid Baron 2.0 and he gets this wonderful shield that we have to break open. And this is a good... Yeah, this is a good RNG here because we want him to start eating so we can do quite a bit of damage in the beginning. So the rest afterwards, even if you don't have the optimal set of items, you will still be able to make this a relatively quick fight. So yeah, after all this time, it seems like he has finally accepted his role as a mid-boss. So he will be happy to return for the next game as a mid-boss, which is actually happening, by the way, in Half Genie Hero. Alright, so we're back. We're giving this Mudbug map, which will be the island that we are heading off to really soon, but there are a couple of things we have to do first. Basically what we're gonna do is head back to Scuff Town and we're gonna do something with these items, because remember when we got those? Yes, we will be exchanging them for an item that we will be using to get access to a village on Midboss Island called Village of Lost Souls, and it's a death mask. Okay, with that said, we're gonna head off there. So if you play this casually, you will know that the journey towards this village is gonna be quite difficult because there's lots of mud-like creatures ready to make your life difficult. And since we have the pirate items now, everything is gonna be quite a bit easier because we're just dashing through it like it's just another day. There we go. Ah, crap. What I was trying to do there is what's called a momentumless boost. What it does... Oh, I might just as well go back here to properly charge up again. But basically what it does is, if I enter the loading zone that you saw just now holding jump, and if I let go as soon as I'm starting to jump again, and then press right, I will be able to regain my boost if I time it correctly. So that's definitely worth trying. So it saves a couple of seconds. And yeah, so we now head off into the Village of Lost Souls, which is quite different looking from other places. The main reason why we are here is we're collecting these coins, as you can see here. We will be collecting 3 of those in total to be used for a game called Heads or Tails, and we will be playing that against a group of so-called coin gamers. It's gonna be quite RNG heavy, let me tell you that. Not eternally RNG heavy, but to a certain extent. And what I did there was I did what's called a delayed charge. So I do start up the charge before the screen wrap, and after the screen wrap I actually wind up using it, which is sort of effective if you want to boost your way even if the platform ends very early, for instance in this case. That's quite helpful in certain instances. So now we are over here, we're grabbing the final coin, which make sure that we will be able to play the game. Okay, and if I didn't have the other potion, then this would have been quite a riskier affair. Since these ghosts can be quite rude, you have no idea where they will appear, so you have to make sure to avoid them as much as possible. Especially surrounded by these ghosts, you can lose quite a bit of health, but they seem to work out fine. Okay, time for the game. Heads or tails? I'm gonna guess heads because, well, it's one of 2 options, and the chances are that they will say heads, heads, heads. in the beginning, but of course it's heads and then tails. So let's see how this works out. Okay, that took quite a while. It is possible to get it first try, but like I said, it's sort of RNG dependent. There are actually runners who go for the combination heads, tails. I'm not sure if that's more effective, but you know, after the 4th try, it doesn't matter what you choose, you'll get the right answer anyway, because it only goes for 4 times. So, like I said, it's not eternal RNG going on. So, a few items later, we're getting the Manly Musk, which is actually what we use to get into the next cave, or dungeon, or whatever you'd like to call it. Right over here, we're gonna stink up the place, and that's how you gain access to caves. It has a beautiful name, by the way. It's called the Oubliette of Suffering. It's a shame we won't be seeing much of this cave though, because with the pirate equipment that we have, we do wind up skipping roughly 80 to 85% of this dungeon, so yeah, that's quite a bit. So we head over here. And this is a good showcase for all of the items, because we will be using the scimitar and especially the dash, since we wind up getting it in this dungeon. As you can see, I'm using it to break this block. Normally speaking, how it works is you're supposed to align these cages to have enough momentum to break through the block, but since we have, well, A, all of the equipment, and B, the risky shuffle, this is no issue whatsoever. Okay, the Dagron. This is a potentially tricky fight here, because you never know where it will appear, and actually I was gonna save beforehand, so hopefully this works out. Apart from not knowing where it will appear, it will also speed up as it takes more damage. Thankfully we still have the auto potion, so okay. Okay, we're still good. Yeah, like I said, it was a bit risky because I actually forgot to save here, which was part of my plan, but we're still good. Dagron is no match. Nah, as it turns out, it wasn't a match for me. Still. Well, I didn't use a monster milk, so it took a bit longer than it would have taken otherwise, but... yeah, a bit risky, I know. So now we have this Lost Soul, which is probably not too surprising since this is the village of Lost Souls. Of course we're wanting to find out who the soul belongs to, so... yeah, who could it belong to? Any guesses? Who could it belong to? Also, I had to make my way out first before using the Pyre Flare, because you can't use it indoors, and, well, apparently this village counts as indoors. Okay, so we went from very hot Mudbug Island and stuff to this, well, very chilly Frostbite Island. So... you can probably tell from the design of this that it seems invented to show off the dash move that you just gotten in casual mode, since a lot of it is really like these outstretched landscapes. These guys are having a brief conversation. Also, there was the ammo baron again. And what we do here is more or less avoid these wolves because, well, they can do quite a lot of damage if you do wind up getting hit by them, because I only have 2 full hearts, and if I wind up getting hit by one of them, I will only have 1/2 of a heart left, so I have to be somewhat cautious here, although having pirate equipment does sort of help soften the blow. However, if you are short on super pike balls, you can actually get them from wolves. And there's also a very small chance that you can get super monster milks from them. It has happened to other runners, but like I said, the chances are very slim, so you shouldn't really go out of your way to go for those if you want them. So now we are heading off into Propeller Town after having climbed all these chains. The only thing I can say about this really is that you're not supposed to have the cannon jumps, so normally speaking how this works is you're supposed to ride these chains and have to avoid these spike blocks. Also, I forgot to do this properly. There we go. So again, a few skips here and there. Apart from that, I think it's a good time for... Oh, good job, mate. Yeah, I think apart from that, it's a good time for donations, if there are any.
Yeah, we got a couple.
Oh, crap.
So,
I have to make sure to not get hit.
A very generous $100 donation from a Grand Pooh Bear.
Oh, nice.
That says, have a great marathon, hope you raise lots of monies. Thank you, Pooh Bear. We also have $100 from Meg Magattack that says, yay, power up with pride, :D.
Okay, so we're almost done with this section for now. We're done in the Propeller Town. Turns out, hey, there's Bolo again, and it seems like he is doing some weird things. Like he's seemingly working with the enemy here, developing this targeting module. So we will have to get this and use it later. You'll see soon enough. First off, we're doing some backtracking, bringing us to Spiderweb Island. We won't be staying a very long time here, but the main thing we're doing here is, since we have this lost soul, we will wind up wondering, well, who does it belong to, and who else to ask than a dead person, right? So that's where we're heading off to. We're gonna see Abner, and maybe he can tell us more. So there was a beautiful wagon ride once more. So, let's see, this lost soul, who does it belong to? Hey, it's the spirit of Joe. Also, note the mustache on that soul. That's truly the sign of a Joe stash, right there. So, normally speaking, in the traditional shopping route, I would have been out of pirate flares, but since I get one for returning the death mask, I will be able to make it out of here very quickly anyway. Okay, oh yeah, I have to do a shopping round. I have to buy 2 more pirate flares that I will be using. One, and that's... Oh, and I do have enough for another super monster milk. That's really cool, because I will be needing that for an optimal fight. So we go through the Scarecrow fields once again, but since we basically have all the items we need, we won't be needing to hit all of them necessarily, so I try to avoid them as much as possible. Also, gotta make sure not to pick up any heart squids. They've been sort of lovingly referred to in the community as heart squids of shame, and it has happened before that someone grabbed it. So now we go over here, and remember this blade that we got? We're gonna give it to this guy, now known as Branson, also known as the legally distinct He-Man. And these girls are running off, they're joining the recruitment team that I'm assembling right now. Also, I did try to pull it off, but you know, sometimes I try to pull off what's called a nutbuster for perhaps obvious reasons. But that requires me to stand a little bit closer to Branson. So now we have the spirit of Joe that we used to revive Joe, and while he was petrified, he was having some thoughts, and he was thinking, well, I enjoy being single, so he breaks up with Sky. So now we give this module, which is supposed to target the palace, but instead Bolo accidentally programmed it to hit this part of the ground, so yeah, we now know where to go. Thank you, Bolo. Also, let's go over here. Okay, so we don't have to travel very far this time, since, well, the place where that hole has appeared is literally right over here. So that's it. Bringing us to the abandoned factory. Again, we won't be seeing much of this factory since, you know, a lot of it is skipped by doing dashing and all of the items that we do have. However, one thing to note is I did pick up this key in the Catacombs Crusher, in the Catacombs, and normally speaking, you know, if I wouldn't get it there, I would be getting the extra key from right up there. But since I already have all the keys that I do need, I don't have to pick it up anymore. So that's a nice little time save for later on. Last key of the game. Gotta make sure not to get hit by that ice block, because that sometimes happens depending on how things work out. So here we are facing off against the Steel Maggot. Quite a few of these bosses so far have been scripted, but this one has been... let me start this up first. Okay. But this one is very much RNG heavy, because you can... Okay, I had to set this up, but just to make sure that I had all the items selected. But yeah, it's there's a thing as such as button RNG, which is very favorable in this case, because we wind up... Oh, I missed that one part though. Okay, that's basically the thing. You have to guess which button you have to press first, and then guess which is second. Sometimes you get these combinations which don't always work out. Oh, I realized that I forgot to select the monster milk. Good job, me. I was wondering why it took so long, but I'm sort of getting used again to playing this on the Wii U, so that's why. There we go. So, with the Super Monster Milk and the Super Pike Ball, this would normally speaking take 2 cycles. It took longer because I forgot to select the Super Monster Milk. But that happens. We made it out alive at least. Okay, the final map of this lonely grave. Risky Boots has been looking for this one. Is it dangerous to go alone? Well, we have Risky Boots. I mean, we're not entirely alone. Yeah, the main reason why I play the Wii U right now is because I didn't want to see the game crash, which pretty much happens with the Steam version on certain occasions, and if you try to get a PB, it sometimes leads to less than ideal situations. Also check that animation. So this is the Lonely Grave, where we finally meet the Pirate Master, and Risky tries to beat the Pirate Master, but as you see, well, it's not quite working out that way, and she gets captured, and now we are definitely on our own, and we have to rescue Risky Boots. So, here we go, onto the ship, moist the main sail, back to Scuff Town. Oh, good job. As you can see, it's turned quite dark in here, which might have to do with the Pirate Master taking over. Gonna make sure not to hit the squids, because those are still there. One thing you may have noticed is if I start hitting something, there's this tiny delay which gets shorter with each successive hit that you do, so eventually you wind up speeding through without any delay. But if you want to go fast, and that's the reason why I didn't hit those scarecrows before, if you don't do that, then you will save a little bit of time. So now we are at the tower where we have to do this climb, and main part of this is to do these climbs. Otherwise you have to do these trials, normally speaking. But by doing a combination of head, cannon, cannonball, or yeah, triple cannon jump head, then you will be able to skip these sections. So it's not necessarily frame perfect, but you have to time in a certain way so you can make it up successfully. But that was the last of them. And we're almost there. We're gonna save once more. Right over here. Just to make sure that this run actually finishes. And now we're all the way up to the top. And it's time to face this... Pirate Master. So the main thing is we have to keep hitting it over and over. And I do this jump because the landing does... cancel the attack animation, so by doing it this way I'll be able to yeah, do faster attacks and stuff, although I still want to be careful obviously. If you don't have the auto potion, this is quite a trickier part, because if you can position yourself here then it's fine and you can do quite a bit of damage, but otherwise not so much. Okay, so timer stops as soon as I deal the last hit, which is right now. Time. And that is this game, 80% pirate mode, no out of bounds. So this is not the full ending, as I mentioned before, it's an ending. Also, like I said before, if you collect all the dark magic, 20 pieces in total, you will be able to fight the full Pirate Master fight. It's this extended fight, it's quite epic actually. And then you get the full ending where Shantae does actually retrieve her half-genie powers that she's been missing out on since the beginning of this game. So yeah, last thing we need to do, officially speaking, is to check the in-game time. Although that system seems to be a little bit broken, or not entirely consistent. But it does sort of keep track of the time, also including, I believe, the cutscenes and also the credits, so I'm sort of fast forwarding through them now. But yeah. Almost there, it's the end. Those were some nice credits. So let's see, we played for 51 minutes and 17 seconds in-game time. We collected one piece of dark magic, but that was more or less required, so that's pretty much the closest thing to any percent anyone can possibly see. Let me get out of here. But yeah, that was the game. I hope you enjoyed. If you saw this and are like, hey, I want to speedrun this, feel free to go to speedrun.com. There's a link for the speedrunning community, the Way Forward speedrunning community, and lots of people are more than willing to answer all of your questions, so yeah. So apart from that, what else could I say? Well, that was it really. I hope you enjoyed the run. Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone, and also thanks to the organization for letting me be the first run of this marathon. It's been an incredible honor to do this, so yeah, thanks again. I believe next up is Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon by Magic, so that should be a good watch too. Be sure to keep donating for the Trevor Project, it's a good cause. And also have lots of fun during the rest of this weekend with the marathon. And yeah, I'm out. I will see you all in chat hopefully, and throughout the weekend. I'll catch you later.